What's up, everyone? It's NFL Week 14, and we're talking Thursday Night Football Showdown breakdown. Raiders at the Rams. Turd explosion about to take place. Let's do this. All right, Kevin Allen here, aka the Geek from DFS Army, and I've got Bobby Millions here with me, two-time Millie Maker champion himself. We're taking a look at the Thursday Night Football contest, and this is a weird one, Bobbywow.
This is a weird one. This is gonna be fun, but it is weird.
Yes, and it's funny. Just before we got on the air, I'm like, all right, let's check the props and see if there's anything going on with this Rams quarterback situation. So the mystery is who's going to be the quarterback for the Rams in this game. They just signed Baker Mayfield off of waivers yesterday, so he hasn't had a whole lot of time to acclimate to a new system. The Wolford has got a neck issue. The team seems to hate Bryce Perkins. I don't know what's going on, and all of them kind of suck.
Yeah, it feels kind of like the Price is Right. Like, they do those 3 doors with the curtains. You got to pick the door with the best prize, but they're all like whammies. That's what this feels like. Like, we're trying to figure it out, but at the same time, it's ugly no matter how you slice it.
The reality is it's probably a whammy no matter what.
Right.
Yeah, this could be the worst game of the year is right. But listen, I think there are also some obvious potential captain plays just because, like, the Raiders' offense is very, very concentrated on just 2 guys. Yep. And almost every game, one of those 2 does well. And then the Rams is probably not going to do anything. They're a shit show.
Probably. But again, we have to see this through the lens of the showdown, right? That's how we have to train our brains. You're right. That's how it should play out. But it's a Thursday night football game. Anything can happen.
I did note that the line moved another half a point since earlier today towards the Raiders. So the money is being bet on the Raiders -6 and now -6.5. Mac Hollins, yeah, all right, there we go. That's your bet. It's your WR2. That's your cheaper play. That's viable. But let's get into this. And first, I guess, is it relevant? But we could take a look at the get the share going here. But
it is relevant.
We could take a look at the matchup sheet just to get a sense of the defense. The defensive prowess of both of these teams. So starting with the Raiders. Raiders are pretty bad. So these numbers imply that the Raiders bleed points to opposing quarterbacks and especially opposing running backs. Running back is interesting on the Rams. That's a whole nother story that we'll get into. But hey, if you were the Rams, wouldn't you lean on Cam Akers or somebody like that in this game?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, right? And the Raiders are not that good at stopping the run, as you can see here. They're allowing almost 4 points per game above mean expectation to opposing running backs. Now, the Rams, pretty decent defensive team. Looks to me here like they're decent, actually a little better against the run, allowing 2 fewer points per game to the running back position below mean expectations. Whereas they're allowing almost 3 points per game above mean expectation to the wide receiver position. So the other area where the Rams are bleeding points is to opposing defenses, which is what this implies right here. So, let's keep that in mind. So everybody talking about, I think the running back situation for the Rams is really relevant. We don't know who the quarterback is going to be as of this sitting. Bobbywow, you expect it to be Wolford or no?
I expect it to be Wolford. I really do. I think it'll be Wolford or Baker is what I'm thinking. For some reason, they were quick to give Perkins the hook after his start a couple weeks ago. And it's in the notes as well. We can get to that in the notes, but I think it's going to be Wolford.
The other thing, so I like Perkins better than Wolford as a fantasy play.
I do too, yes.
So it's kind of weird. And then the Baker Mayfield, we don't know.
We don't know.
But let's take a look at the running back situation, because I do think we got some clarity at running back last week for the Rams. And interesting, right? So last week, check it out. Cam Akers, 72% snap count compared to Kyron Williams, 28%. Akers got almost all of the carries as well.
He did, and he got all the production.
Yes, had a good game. Is Cam Akers the guy now? Has he taken over? All right, this is my team.
It was the same thing on Monday Night Geek. The running back position here is going to be the emphasis of this slate. It's going to change the slate. And I think we could be in store for another little bit of a fake out here with Cam Akers.
Really?
I think McVay will opt to ride the hot hand. Akers came out hot early last week. He rode Akers. I don't think he will hesitate for a single second to ride Kyron Williams if Williams were to break a big run on his first couple attempts. I think this will even itself out. We saw Williams with a 70% snap count 2 weeks ago, Akers last week. I think it'll end up somewhere in the middle, kind of like Lenny and Rashad White did on Monday.
How crazy would, yeah. So, I mean, it could swing back to Kyron Williams, I guess, is what you're trying to tell me.
The point is
possible.
We don't get sucked in.
All right.
And be all in on Cam Akers. That's the point.
And there we go. But nonetheless, if we go by last week, Cam Akers had a pretty good week. And so, that's interesting, right? Kyron Williams functioned much more as just a backup. But yeah, I mean, there you go. If Akers fumbles, some weird thing happens, of course they can go the other way. Although, if I'm the Rams, I'm trying to see what I have in Akers.
Well, that's the thing too, is Kyron Williams, he's a young buck that has some potential. I think he's the RB1 next season for the Rams too. So a lot of variables at play.
Yeah, and people, in the chat are even saying, hey, it seems to swing back and forth. So who the hell knows? At wide receiver, I don't know how relevant these guys are going to be on this slate because of the quarterback scenario, but it looks like Van Jefferson and Benny Sco are getting all the snaps, with Tutu Atwell and Brandon Powell mixing in for the WR3 scraps.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Higbee continues to be on the field for pretty much every snap. And actually, Higbee had some decent games with these backup quarterbacks in there, including, a 20% target share last week for whatever that's worth. So, Higbee is kind of relevant here, I guess, depending on who the quarterback is. I don't know about these other tight ends. They don't tend to see much action.
Higbee's my favorite Rams play on the slate.
Interesting. I think I'm leaning Cam Akers right now, but we'll see. All right, so shifting over to the Raiders. Now, one thing we've talked about on the Raiders all year long is just that they're extremely concentrated in their offense between two players, Davante Adams and Josh Jacobs. And if you take a look at the matchup sheet here, it does tell the tale, right? Davante Adams with a season-long 33% snap count that spikes at times up to 44% last week. Flip side, Josh Jacobs getting essentially all of the rushing game work and he's just getting a massive workload at running back. So this is spectacular. All you can ask for out of a running back is what Josh Jacobs is doing right now.
Yep.
I love them both. Mac Hollins, 33% snap share last week, 17% on the season. So Mac Hollins is the clear-cut, number 2 guy.
He is. As long as Renfro's out, Hollins the number 2. Geek, I bet you could not name the number 3 wide receiver. I bet no one in the chat could name the number 3 wide receiver. He's not even up on the sheet.
I have no idea who the number 3 wide receiver is for the Raiders right now. So
he's getting 65% of the snaps, but he's not on the sheet because he wasn't targeted a single time. There we go. Keelan Cole.
Keelan Cole. Yeah, former New York Jet.
Keelan Cole. It's just...
yeah, I mean...
But you're right. My point is, you're right. 2 people. That's what this offense filters through.
Yeah, they're not going to throw it much. Keelan's a turd that's live, and we do point out the turds on the Where My Turds At breakdown. So that's a live turd. Did Foster Moreau get hurt last week? It seems like he got 90% of the snaps. So no,
he was healthy.
Okay,
but I think he remembered he was Foster Moreau. So
yeah, that can shift. He can have it. He's fine.
Oh,
I don't mind Foster Moreau.
He's in play.
But look at the other tight ends. Like, again, didn't even see the field. So this team is not going to surprise us with finding new people that we haven't heard of popping out of nowhere to go off. They are very much concentrated on the people that they concentrate on, and that's good for a showdown for me. I like that. So let's take a look at your cheat sheet, Bobbywow, and take me through, and let's see where we can get here. So, you've got 4 stars and 3.5 on Jacobs and Adams. Is that a pricing thing?
No, I put in the notes. I don't like Jacobs as much on this slate. The Rams defense have been consistently good despite missing their weapons against one thing, and that is the run. Very good at stopping the run. And so I just think that's the point of leverage for tournaments, is being a little underweight on Jacobs.
You're kind of saying be a little heavier Adams. Adams is my guy here.
Yep.
Do you have any concerns that, and they haven't done this all year, so I don't have real concerns about it per se, but if I had Jalen Ramsey on my team and I was going up against Davante Adams, as much as I love to play zone for whatever reason, wouldn't you be like, you know what, Jalen, can you shut him down?
And I think they might, but I don't think Jalen can shut him down. In fact, we saw last week again just how vulnerable this Rams passing defense is. Both Metcalf and Lockett put up, they smashed together. Both had over 100 yards receiving. I think both had a touchdown. This Rams defense with Jalen Ramsey doesn't scare me when it comes to Davante Adams. Not one bit. Do you feel differently?
No, I'm just trying to think, like, in the what if scenario, that's where Mac Hollins goes off.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happens, right? Last week, the Rams couldn't concentrate on Metcalf because then you throw to Lockett. You put him on Lockett, they throw to Metcalf. They have 2 guys. So that really messes up someone like Jalen Ramsey. You can't just lock down one guy because there's 2. With Adams, you could pretty much just lock down Adams. Like, I would do that if I was Rams. I don't think Sean McVay is an idiot. So it just makes sense to do it, which would open things up for Mac Hollins quite a bit.
It does. It does. Doesn't help that their secondary is decimated too. So his support options aren't exactly great either.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that WR2, whoever's away from Ramsey, will do better. But that doesn't mean that Adams won't smash again either. I'm just saying, like, hey, there is that little inkling of what if this plays out a certain way?
Yes, it's a good point.
Yeah. And Ramsey hasn't been that great this year, which is what a lot of people are saying here in the chat. Like, he's kind of having a down year, but I still think that's a lot more because of the scheme. The Rams just don't put him man. They don't put him man to man more often than not in coverage. They tend to put him in the zone, which is just not really utilizing his skill set as good as you could. All right. So you got Cam Akers up here. Sure. Why not?
That's for you. That was for you. I was looking for more of a hat tip on that one.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, listen, I think you got to play Cam Akers this week because the Raiders can't stop the run. And if the Rams, I don't see a lot of scoring in this game. I'm waiting to see if you got Rams defense or Raiders defense in here. You don't, but the Raiders can't really stop the run. Mac Hollins, I think, is fine. I think actually Mac Hollins is better than fine. He might actually be a very good play. I could totally see Mac Hollins being the guy that takes this thing down.
It does feel like it could be one of those. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that could happen. He's way overpriced for his role. Let's not go crazy. Like, it's crazy pricing for Mac Hollins. He's not, he can get you like a 4. Also, he's not very good. Or he's not a consistent scorer, but he's cheap enough that if you have him, you could probably afford whatever other. There's not that many studs to really want to afford on this slate. Yeah.
There's not that many. Yes.
No. But he's out there, and I like the Mac Hollins call. Van Jefferson, I don't know. Anybody catching passes from Wolford, pretty sketchy.
And I put that in the notes too.
Yeah. Higbee. So you've got VJJ, Van Jefferson, technically the number 1 wide receiver. Yeah. And he is talented. You're right. And we don't know who his quarterback is. So it's tough to really want to load up on that. Tyler Higbee is a top play. So tell me why you love Tyler Higbee.
I love Higbee because he's a quintessential volume guy. He doesn't necessarily have to find the end zone to put up a solid score. I mean, he was seeing double-digit targets several times this season, including a massive target game with John Wolford at quarterback. So I really like the floor that Higbee brings. The price is, I feel like it's in a solid spot. And he's like the one guy that we can count on for consistent production, if there is such a thing in this Rams offense.
Yeah, I feel that. You really went all in. Kyron Williams, Tutu Atwell as potential dart throws. Ugh. Unleash the Tutu.
Okay, this is crazy. Real people are saying that. Like
what?
Rams beat reporters and McVay. McVay talked for a long time about Tutu and like how he's made a mistake. He hasn't played him enough. He's going to get him more involved starting Thursday. He's answering the call every time we call on him. Like, it's a big deal right now, Geek. Tutu is, they got nothing else to talk about. So Tutu Atwell's in the spotlight for all the right reasons.
Wow. What a weird one. Tutu.
Yes. He's had some decent games too.
Let me see. So let me see what's going on with Tutu here.
He's had at least a decent game. I can tell you that. 13.2. There you go. 60
that was
yards,
all on one reception.
Yeah. But I mean, that's all it takes with Tutu. And if he's going to be playing more, look, his target share has increased the last couple of weeks. He's a big play guy. 5 targets last week. That's all. He's a dart throw. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one. He is tiny. But you know what? Some small guys have done well. You know, like, hey, Wan'Dale Robinson had one game where he did well before he got hurt. But I think one of the problems when you're 5'5" and in the NFL is probably going to get hurt a lot.
Tyreek Hill and Darren Sproles would like a word, Geek.
What's that? I
said Tyreek Hill and Darren Sproles would like a word.
Tyreek Hill's not 5'5". Tyreek Hill's a big dude. He's 5'11".
Is he that tall?
Yeah, Tyreek Hill's not small. I mean, he's not a large wide receiver, but he's not that small. He's not like a mini wide receiver at all.
5'10".
Wan'Dale Robinson is, and Rondale Moore, the Ondales, both of the Ondales, Rondale and Wan'Dale. Yeah, Hill 5'9". So they 5'9", 5'10". Like he's a little more reasonably sized, I guess.
That's fair.
I feel like he's larger than 5'9". I feel like he might be 5'10" or 5'11" even. I bring it up on Player Profiler in a minute here. But where are we? Okay, Matt Collins. Matt Collins. Wait. I went to the wrong sheet.
We were at the darts. Darts.
Okay, we're at the dart. Here we go. Kickers. Sure, why not? In a low-scoring game, although probably not. As captains. Probably not.
Really?
I feel like if Baker Mayfield play, because are these guys really outscoring Davante Adams? It's wide receivers.
They're 1/3 the price, even less than that. All they have to do is put up a score of, if Adams scores what? 25? What do they have to put up?
It's funny. You're 10, like, I'm joining 12. You on the kicker bandwagon. And by the way, I've been on the kicker bandwagon. Let's, and it's worked out a couple times. But a lot of times you want to use the kicker to afford like some of the studs, but there aren't that many studs here. So
yeah,
I'm not
true.
sure.
It'll be interesting when we build a lineup. The issue is the studs are way pricier than normal. Davante Adams is just short of 20K as captain.
Even the turds are a little expensive. Like you said, even Tutu Atwell coming in at 4,400 is like crazy.
Just do the math. I mean, literally a third the price. Their output doesn't have to be that obscene for them to be the nuts captain.
Cash captain. I mean, for me in cash, it's probably Josh Jacobs or Davante Adams, but probably Josh Jacobs or Davante Adams. That's where I'm going in cash. And then I'll play the 2 kickers in the lineup because I'll get the other one. Jacob in cash, to me, you need Jacobs and Davante, and then you just got to fill out the rest.
If you're going Jacobs, Davante, and Carr, which those guys will be the clear-cut 3 top-owned guys, you probably need a kicker as your cash captain. But if you're not, yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, and Akers, I don't know about captain, but Akers is definitely in play across the board. He's that guy you probably want in your lineup if you can afford him in your high dollar. Like that's a pretty decently good play relative to everything else that's going on the slate. So I mean, turd zone. Do we even need to worry about this zone here at all on a game like this?
Probably not. But again, you almost have to have some exposure to these guys, like Keelan Cole, for example. And you got to refresh because I think I updated the.
Yeah, actually, Keelan Cole, if he's going to be on the field for 70, 80%, although is it, yeah, if he's going to be just on the field the whole time, it's going to take forever now to refresh. But let me take that away.
That's what I wrote in the notes was, look, we like to target volume potential guys that are on the field a lot. And so at min price, I am willing to take some shots on Keelan Cole.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's going to be on the field at 200 at that price. That's where you take a shot, because even a 0 doesn't really kill you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if any of these other guys are getting any looks. I mean, Brandon Powell's on the field a little bit. Amir Abdullah will get a play or two, but like at 3K, you're a little dangerously close to the price of kickers. At 200, Keelan Cole gets 3 receptions. He's in the nuts.
If all the studs do what they should do, yep, agreed.
And there's Bryson Hopkins, a definite viable turd. I agree with the 2.5. Has Lance McCutcheon taken a snap this season?
He played half the snaps 2 weeks ago.
He was a preseason darling. So
MME guys. These are MME guys to include in your pool. I wouldn't do anything otherwise.
All right, let's see what it looks like trying to build a lineup with this group. So obviously Adams, Jacobs, Adams. Jacobs always got that scary Q tag on him, but look what happens. So the minute if we play both of these with one of them in the captain position, we essentially run out of money right there. Let's see what happens if I go and pop kickers in. 5,100. I mean, there's Benny Sco, there's Tutu Atwell, so there's still plays down here that are kind of acceptable.
Jesus.
Kyron Williams? I don't like the look of this at all.
That's what I'm saying, Geek. It's ugly.
All right, so
try one with the kicker at captain. I'm just curious.
Put a kicker in there. Let's go with the Raiders kicker, I guess. Carlson's been pretty good this year, right?
Both have
he's definitely averaging a decent number of points. I don't expect the other team to score very frequently. So if we put a kicker in there, let's see what happens. So you got 9,100. Now you could Jacobs and Adams in there.
Get Hollins or Akers.
Yeah, I mean, Foster Hollins, sure. Akers, ooh.
It's cashier, is what I'm saying. It looks.
Yeah. But isn't this wild? Even with a kicker at captain. You know who I like at captain? What if I went Hollins?
I don't hate it.
If I went Hollins captain, right?
That's why I have so many captains, because there's some options here.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to be, is it fun to make a lineup? There he is. Okay, so is it fun to make a lineup where you have to play, where either you fade both of these guys? The other way to do it is to put the $200 guy, Keelan Cole, like you have to accept playing this.
Yep.
And I wouldn't do that with a Mac Hollins, but in this approach, again, no matter what you do, if you're going to play Jacobs and Adams in the same lineup together, the rest of that lineup is going to look pretty scary. Or you need to have one supreme turd. It does not seem like it's going to be. What I want to know, Bobbywow, I need you to clarify this for me, because this is going to drive me nuts, is do I just have to not play Adams and Jacobs together?
No, I think you can. But that's what I was alluding to earlier in the podcast when we talked about Adams and Jacobs and why Adams has the better rating. You're probably going to have to make a choice in a majority of your lineups. And to me, I just love both Adams in this matchup and also and also kind of getting underweight on Jacobs. He's going to be so massively owned, and the field is going to try cramming both of them in.
I agree. I think the field will try to get them both in there, which means that opens up this idea that probably one or the other. But, it does definitely make sense that it would be both. I'm not even going to enter this lineup because I'm not happy with what it looks like. Plus, there's still the mystery of who will be the quarterback for the Rams tomorrow. So we have to really just allow for that. And you're right. Basically, everybody's saying the same thing, which is like, how many ties are you going to get? The problem with using both of them, especially with one of them at captain, is the options that you have remaining are so few that it borderline is going to be taken by every single person like 20 times over.
There's a lot of options. I don't know. I just don't think it's gonna be tough for the lineup to score well. That's all.
Fading, if you go light on Jacobs, I would go with Abdullah over Zamir, where Zamir White is much more of a play if Jacobs actually gets hurt.
Yep.
So if we need a scenario, we always love our scenarios. If Jacobs gets hurt during this game, it's a short week. He's got a Q tag that's been carried along for the last few weeks. Let's say he aggravates something and has to come out. That's when Zamir White comes in and he'll get. So I might make a rule that if I have Zamir White in a lineup, those would be my Jacobs fade lineups. Like I would make a rule, I'm not going to allow Zamir and Jacobs in the same lineup just because that might be the way to go. Or get a few no Jacobs lineups with Zamir in them, because I do think he's the more likely replacement, where Amir Abdullah might just play some snaps anyway.
He scored a touchdown 2 weeks ago. He gets 20% of the snaps.
He can catch a pass.
We need to talk about the elephant in the room, though, Geek, the other one. And that is Derek Carr. We cannot ignore Derek Carr on this slate.
As a captain?
We can ignore him as a captain, I think.
All right.
But in the flex, and it's another reason I'm a little less excited about Jacobs. I think the Rams they're gonna try and make Derek Carr beat him. They don't want Josh Jacobs to beat him. They're gonna shut that down.
That's fair. I love that. I love that thought. So yeah, I have no problem with that. I think you got to go a number of different ways. But again, even an Adams Carr stack is very expensive to pull off on DraftKings here. Like, let's try an Adams Carr stack, right? So let's say, how about we play Hollins at captain? You can't even do it. You play him here, MVP, right, captain? Then you want to put Carr in there, right, with Adams. So this is a kind of fade of. This would be a fade of Jacobs kind of approach. That leaves 4,000. Ain't gonna work out, right? We can get one kicker, and that's it. Can't even get the other kicker in there. So again, even a lineup like this with Mac Hollins at the helm, it's really challenging. 4K, so you'd have to get rid of
Van Jefferson or Higbee or anyone. I mean, there's some options, but I agree.
No one's excited about those guys. Like, that is just gross.
Higbee would be in every one of my lineups here. He'd be in every one of my cash lineups.
Oh, Higbee's okay. All right, there it is. Okay, so that's good to know.
And Hollins, I like the Hollins call. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably the most sensible option in the mid-range, though, as captain.
I almost think Hollins would go better with Jacobs.
Agreed. But then I don't want to play Derek Carr with Jacobs.
Now I'm kind of liking this lineup I'm making. So this is the fade. This is the fade Devontae lineup, where we believe that Ramsey kind of slows him down and the production goes to the other guys. That leaves Foster Moreau as a playable situation.
Yeah, and you could even go Jacobs at captain. I'd be curious. Take Hollins out.
Yeah, does that work monetarily? Let's see. Ooh, just barely doesn't. See, I would get rid of Higbee there and maybe, finish it off. Raiders defense. Oh, I kind of like that.
There you go.
You know what? I'm playing it. That's the one I like.
It's a fun slate because they're configuring this as like a puzzle. This is it's just a fun slate.
It is
line
very
of
much like a
construction-wise.
puzzle. I mean, you nailed it. It's very much like a. Does it say Monday? Did I write Monday? Oop. On the. Gotta get that fixed. My man. This is for Thursday. I don't even know what day it is. That's the problem. So we'll clean that up. That gets cleaned up in the editing. All right. So
I thought it was Thursday until this moment today.
you thought today was Thursday. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Here we go.
So, all right. Let's take a look at FanDuel and your potential MVPs. So you've got Devontae and Jacobs, very obvious. Derek Carr, okay. Totally. Generic Rams quarterback, I don't like it.
Generic John.
I don't like it. And then take a shot on Cam Akers. Is there any other? So obviously here it's Jacobs, it's Adams. We always favor running backs on FanDuel. They score quicker, but just
And
by a
quarterbacks.
smidge. Quarterbacks as well, they score quicker. I don't know that we need Wolford.
He's in there for one reason, and that's because the Raiders stink. Their defense is not good. I love Crosby. He's great. He's going to wreak havoc, but the defense as a whole isn't good.
They're giving up what's worse than the Raiders' defense? The Rams' offense and Wolford.
And that is the truth.
Yeah, they're worse than the Rams. The badness of the Raiders' defense is trumped by the worstness of the Rams' offense. So Raiders defense going to look like the 85 Bears in this one. They're going to be looking good. Sacks, turnovers, the whole deal. They're going to be like, wow, we're good at defense, right? And then Cam Akers, I'm fine with Cam Akers. Running backs do well here. If the Rams are hanging in this game, it's probably because of Cam or because Baker winds up getting the start and just figuring shit out. That's right. And he might start. Yeah, we don't know. That's the whole point. We don't know. We were reading all the quotes from McVay before the slate. I don't even think that Baker Mayfield is in the player pool on some of these sites. Like, let's see if they added him.
They just did on DraftKings.
Yeah, like he's not even been added on. Now, FanDuel's slow to react, but they haven't even added him in on the player pool on DraftKings, on FanDuel as of yet. He's in there on DraftKings. So before we jump over to FanDuel making a lineup, do you have a preference? I'm assuming you prefer Jacobs.
He's the better FanDuel play. Yeah.
There we go. And Carr, and then Adams.
Carr's my favorite. Carr's my favorite MVP on FanDuel.
That makes sense. Let's take a look at some of the salaries here. So getting down below this sort of Studley zone. Yeah, Jefferson. We need touchdowns. We need points scorers on FanDuel, touchdown scorers or field goal kickers. Matt Collins at 9,500 is really interesting. Kicker, fine. Tight end, Foster Moreau, playable.
Both
Higbee,
tight ends are
8K.
too cheap.
Oh my gosh, this guy is the starting wide receiver. You know, he's getting all the snaps, and he's 6,500. But man, they stink.
6,500 for Benny Scrow, man. He's got touchdown upside.
Yeah, if they had a quarterback in there, sure. Yeah. I think you got to play it like, hey, why not? Why not him? Van Jefferson and Benny Scrow are not that different of a play, but you're going to save all of this salary.
Save 5K.
It's basically the same. I mean, so there we have it. So for the cheapies to make it work, out of this grouping here, which one would you kind of default to when you're just clicking the button, Bobbywow? Higbee. So you're going all the way up to this 8K guy in Higbee, and Higbee is good, and you said it really quick, which felt very confident. All right, let's see how this looks. Jacobs, Carr. Actually, I don't like that. I think it's either, maybe Carr Adams or Adams Carr.
Adams Jacobs even.
Or Adams Jacobs, and just leave the kicker out of there. Leave the field the quarterback out of it. You can't play all three. You put the third one in. There's nothing left. Or I guess you could, but then you got to play basically Keelan Cole and Benny Scrow, or Tutu Atwell types, or really, really unattractive options, right? So this leaves us 9K. let's see how this looks. Hold on a second. I mean, the simplest way to do this would be to stuff. I do want to get Cam Akers in there. Then you could still choose between one of these turds. Like, all right, so if you want Akers in there with these two and get all of the running back except for, Kyron Williams, or I guess you can add Kyron Williams too. I don't like that, but Benny Sco and then a 9K guy, maybe the kicker, or Foster Moreau or Higbee. You like Higbee, so let me see how this looks. If you put in Higbee, Kyron Williams, that don't work. So yeah, I don't know. This trio is just not working for me, Bobbywow.
Yeah, agreed.
I want it to.
What if you go Carr Adams?
Just full fade of Jacobs?
I'm just curious. I think it opens things up a little bit.
I think you could work with this number.
Because then you go Akers.
Let's see. Akers. And then, it looks like you can get
a kicker now. That's or a kicker or Foster. Yeah, whoever.
It's a lot of Rams.
It's a big difference, though.
Yeah, this could work. Yeah.
That's
not my favorite lineup that I've ever put together.
No.
I'd much rather have
saying that a lot as you build lineups for tomorrow.
I mean, the funny thing is, like I said, you're basically everybody's going to try to get both of these guys in the lineup together. I want to also. You know me, I'm not a big I'm far from someone who would be considered like a Derek Carr truther. Like I am not that guy. So
you're the opposite even.
I've got an Onslaught that makes me feel happier. Onslaught. Raiders. Higbee.
I love it. I love Higbee in there. Love it.
Playing the Onslaught. Raiders defense, though, man, that's crazy pricing too. You can go Mac Hollins with that last spot as well.
Yeah, the only other thing is for me is I think both defenses are in play. Don't sleep on the Rams defense, especially on DraftKings. They're significantly cheaper than the Raiders, and Derek Carr has proven he can turn the ball over with the best of them.
We have seen that situation work out many times. And I literally on Monday night, everybody was on Bucs defense as the prime play. And it was Saints defense that were doing well up until the ridiculous ending to that game.
Exactly.
They were dominant. So, and everyone's like, whoa, the underdog. So, yeah, I mean, you know what the positive of this one is? I think that there's a reasonable chance here of not having a million dupes on FanDuel.
I agree entirely. Yes.
Like normally you can't even play on FanDuel because, you're duping with a million people. This one, I think you might have a decent shot of not duping with everybody. So that's interesting. And I don't think we really even need to cycle through a million MVPs. I would include Mac Hollins, for example, because he does have one game this year where he actually went bananas. And like I said, that scenario with, their scenario with Rams having one good cornerback that they might make a decision to sort of lock on to. Adams might lead to Hollins doing a little more. I don't know. I'm grasping at those straws. But beyond that, it's probably Jacobs, Adams, and Carr, just like in every lineup. Just trying to figure out how to build around it. If you have Adams in there, do you need... Take a look at this. Let's look at last week's results for an idea. So last week, this was a down game for Jacobs. He only put up 20. Ooh, terrible, right? Still awesome. 144 yards was a down game. He's so good right now, right? And Adams goes crazy, when things are going his way. Two touchdowns, 177 yards. What did Derek Carr do?
Better than... Oh, there we go.
He underscored Jacobs.
Yep.
I would say he underscored Jacobs almost every week of the season. Memorize these numbers. You ready? 17, 23, 20, 18, 18. 17.
Just did him.
20. Wait,
Where's your car?
Jacobs, I need. Jacobs. 17, 18, 18. So it was 17, 23, 20, 18, 18. 3 of the 5 games that we just looked at, Jacobs outscored Derek Carr. In all of those games, I think, let's see what Davante Adams did. Adams. You know, that crazy game. So only one time has Derek Carr outscored Davante Adams in the last 5 games, and that was this Seattle game here in 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what happened in that one. That was when I guess Jacobs went bananas.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what does that tell us, Bobbywow? I don't even know. I think it says we got to favor.
Play these guys at captains, or MVP. Play Davante and MVP.
And play them at MVP, and don't be worried about what it's telling me is I don't have to force Carr in a lineup with Adams at the helm because Adams and Jacobs can both do it in the same game.
1,000%. Yes.
That's really my conclusion from it. So
yep, that's a good call.
That's all I've got. All right, guys, let's wrap it up here. So here are our action items for whenever you're watching this. Hopefully, if you're watching this live, we don't know for sure who the quarterback is. We're assuming it's Wolford. I'll give a little bump to the quarterback spot for the Rams if it becomes Perkins because he runs a little bit, but I don't expect much. If Baker Mayfield's in there, I don't know what to do with that. I can't imagine how good Baker Mayfield could be never having practiced with this group.
Yeah.
It doesn't you can just come in. I mean, can you do that? Come in like you got here yesterday and just start a game?
I mean, it's the only thing Baker's got left to try, right?
What if he's better when he's ill-prepared?
I put that in the notes. I said, if there was ever a get-right redemption spot, it's new team, brand new playbook. This is it.
What if like his whole problem is he's preparing and he gets worse when he is prepared? And I was like, get out there and run around. He's like, that's what I did in college. And he just starts running around and being good. Wouldn't that be nuts? Crazier things have happened. Like that would be just crazy. Well, it's like he's running around looking like Russell Wilson, vintage Russell Wilson out there, just tossing it like, just go deep. And he's like, I don't know what plays. I'm just running around. And then it works. That'd be awesome. It's not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
All right. Let's wrap it up there, guys. Let us know your favorite captain plays, your favorite MVPs this week. Who do you think is going to take it down? We love your comments in the comment section. So let us know who you like. Who's your favorite turd? Do we need a turd? Maybe you could say we don't need a turd on this one. We don't need to play that. No cheapies. None of that. Just play middling. Maybe that's the way to go. I don't know.
Throw the lowest price guy in the nuts lineup. Tell us who you think what the lowest price will be. Yeah,
who's the cheapest guy in the winning lineup? Could it be a kicker? Sure. Is it Tutu Atwell?
Could be.
There's a person named Bishop Tutu. The Bishop might want to weigh in on Tutu. He's not going to weigh in. Jenna, we're not going to have this kind of talk in our chat. That's unacceptable. I don't care if you like the player or not. So that's going to do it. I'm kidding. It wasn't funny. All right, whatever.
One last call for me. I think we will see one of the Rams running backs in the nuts.
I like that call too.
Get some exposure to Akers and get some exposure to Kyron as well, especially on DraftKings.
I like that call. I really like Akers here. If they give him a lot of work, that's how they win. That's how they stay in the game.
Yes, and the Raiders are porous against the run. They're one of the worst 5 defenses. How
could they not? Oh, Gonzalez come up with a nice turd there. Powell hasn't done anything. That's a classic turd. I can't imagine the Rams not leaning heavy on the run. What possible? I know about the title. We're going to clean it up. It's on me. But what possible reason would they not lean heavy on the run? They're going to do it. Schwartz like, what day is it? Everybody's like, what is it? Is it Monday? Is it Sunday? Feels like Sunday. Anyway,
yesterday felt like Friday. It's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up. Remember, we'll be back on Friday. Good mention, Bobbywow, for everybody's favorite DFS show, Tournament Tactics, where I bring in a crew of smarter than me, DFS Army coaches to help us break down and figure out the NFL Week 14 main slate. You're not going to want to miss that. This is a big one. The whole Tournament Tactics is like just stack off and let's be done with it.
Which, let's not forget, someone's starting the show with one of these turd hats on. Geek.
Wait, what happened? And what was the bet? And is it me?
Did I lose? You.
Oh,
yes.
Shit. All right. What was the turd hat bet?
The turd hat bet was you said Mike White was going to outscore Goff. And I said, no way. Goff's going to outscore Mike White. And it frankly wasn't close.
Mike White had a great game. He didn't throw for touchdowns. No touchdowns. He still put up 22.
All right. Goff outscored him. I mean,
Goff did outscore him. I will wear the turd hat, but I still take credit for the Mike White call because I think if he just threw for one touchdown, I blame Cole Beasley for the turd.
I was going to say there was a there was a drop. That drop was so bad.
It was rough, but we just talked about on the previous show that the Jets look really good in that game. They just couldn't put the ball in the end zone, but they moved the football, and it was another Vikings stealing a win that they didn't deserve game. So apparently I'll be wearing a turd hat, which I've totally forgot about on the Friday show. So you will not want to miss Tournament Tactics this week at all. So there we go. Have you worn a turd hat yet? I feel like I haven't seen you in hat.
Yes.
You have? Okay.
Yes.
All right. That's going to do it for this one, guys. Good luck tomorrow. I want to see those helmets at the top of lineup. You know how much swag I sent out? I had to do another swag order after all the DFS Army wins this past weekend. It was take a look at this. 10,000. How many people? This is the mini max. First place, second place, fifth place, eighth place. It was bananas. I want to see more of that. I love it. Plus, we got a bunch of new subscriptions because everybody's like, oh my God, those guys are winning everything. I got to sign up over there. So thank you all for winning and kicking ass and taking names and letting people know this is where to be. So that'll do it for this one, guys. Good luck next time. I'll see you at the top of the leaderboards.